Welcome. In this video, we are going to go over how to use technology in this course. So please start by pulling out your TI calculator if you have one. I'm going to show all the directions using a TI-84 plus C. Silver edition, they're all basically the same, the directions. If you have a TI-89, it will be very different, and I will not go over how to say use a TI-89 or Inspire or some of those other ones. Okay, so let's answer these questions on the left with the graphing calculator with the TI-84. Part A. Let's go to the home screen, and here it says just press the quit button, but the quit button is under here in blue. So say I had accidentally pushed this button here, and I find myself in this table and I don't know where to go. I'd hit the second plus mode to get to quit. And that gives us quit. So second mode, and that quits to my home screen. Now we can clear our home screen with this button. Right now I don't have anything, so I'm just going to type in 5 plus 6 to get 11. And then I want to clear that, so I'm going to hit the clear button. Wonderful. And now that that is gone, let's type the word cat. So if you notice, there are letter keys. On mine, it's in green. Yours might be a different color. You're going to want to hit the alpha button, then C, and notice the alpha goes away. Let's type it in second, and then alpha to lock alpha, and then A, T. And in fact, I can keep typing letters. Here's a space, cat, dog. Wonderful. Now I can go ahead and clear that. All right, now let's look at part B. Part B, let's calculate the value of the square root of pi to 6 decimal places. So on my calculator, you can see there's a pi symbol here above this little pointy, I guess, looks like the roof of a house. This actually is an exponent. So if I were to do 2 and hit this button, I get an exponent. I can go 2 to the 5th power to get 32. There it is. So quickly, let me clear that. That was just a quick example of what this button does. But right above it, there's a pi. So I know I need to hit that pi. I have my pi in here, but there's no square root. So let's try this again. Let's clear. Where's my square root? Well, the square root here is found under the squared button. So again, if I were to type 5 and hit this button, I'd get a squared to get 25. But if I want to use the square root, I have to go second, square root. And then I hit the second button again, because this is blue, to get to pi. So let's write that down. The second plus x squared button gives you the square root command. And then second plus this hat gives you pi. So the square root of pi, let's hit enter, to 6 decimal places, 1.772454. And if you notice, I went ahead and rounded up because I have a 3 here, and then there's an 8 right next to it, so that means I need 4 here since this number is larger than 5. And those are just rounding rules that you should all be familiar with by now. Okay, let's look at part C. Before we look at part C, let's clear our screen again. Let's go ahead and calculate the value of 4/7 plus 1/14 and make sure our calculator gives us both a decimal approximation and an exact fraction. Okay, so let's type in 4/7 two different ways. If you want to see it as a fraction, go to this math button, and you want to go to fraction. You can either scroll to the right all the way to get there, or you can just scroll left one time and get there. And you want to hit number 1. So just enter or the number 1, and I'm going to type in 4, then arrow 7, and that looks really pretty on my calculator. Not all calculators have this nice feature, so I'll go over a different way to set this up as well. And then I'm going to go plus, and let's do this again, math, fraction, enter, 1 divided by 14. And then I'm going to hit enter, and that gives me 9/14. This is an exact answer, and I want an approximate answer. So let's go to the math menu again and go back to fraction and see right here, number 3, fraction and decimal. So instead of going down to number 3, I'm just going to press the number 3, and there it is. This is decimal. So our answer here is 9/14. That looks like the letter A. Let me fix that, which is approximately 0.642857. And really quickly, I want to talk about something that's particular to me. This 0 is not necessary. I put a 0 in front of my decimal places just in case. I don't want to accidentally read this as 642,857. If I make my decimal too small, it's hard to see. Which is why I always add a 0 in front. That makes it really clear. Even if it's hard to see, I can see that that's a decimal. Anyways, that 0 is not necessary. Now back to the task at hand. I'm going to clear this. And let's go ahead and do this a different way. So now I'm just going to type in 4, the divide symbol, 7, and then plus 1 divide 14, and hit enter. And look, now it gives me a decimal as my answer right away since I typed this in as division, and that matches the same answer we already have. So if you want to convert this to a fraction, go ahead and hit your math menu, go back, and then you're going to want to go to option 4, enter, and there it is, 9/14. Finally, part D. Let's clear our screen again. So for part D, we're going to explore this key right here. Let me clear that. Whoops. I clicked it one too many times. So for part D, let's compare these two values. So we want to try parentheses -3 to the 4th and then just -3 to the 4th. And let's write both of these out. And I'm going to leave a gap right here and fill in this gap for both of these. So I'm going to leave a gap here. So let me make a larger gap and a gap here. And I'm going to write my calculator answers after this gap. And you'll see why I have a gap really soon. So first let's do parenthesis -3. Oh, actually, let me show you something. Be cautious which negative you use. If I use this minus sign and then I go here to this close parenthesis and then up to the exponent symbol 4, I'm going to get an error. Error syntax. And when you click 2 to go to it, it'll show you that negative. This is counted not as a negative sign, but just as a subtraction sign. So the calculator is getting an error since it's thinking it needs to subtract by some other number first. So let's go ahead and hit this negative that's in the parentheses and then enter. And now I get positive 81. So now let's do it again. -3 exponent symbol to the 4th power, enter, and I get -81. So what is happening here? Well, on this top one, we have -3 in parentheses times -3 times -3 times -3 4 times. And on this bottom one, we have negative times 3. Let me remove these parentheses so it's not confusing. So -3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So in this top case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives, which become a positive. And on this bottom one here, we only have one negative sign, so it stays negative. And this is the main difference. So if you're using your calculator for values like these, make sure you're careful about whether or not you need a parenthesis.